Folks, welcome back. Today, I'm going to tell you about some prospects that we still love here at CCL. I say still because in our time on the air, at one time or another, these cats were mentioned as some of our best picks, and many of them still are as they continue to produce and rise through the minors. So, if you missed an episode or two here and there along the way, you don't want to miss this one, as we will revisit some of our favorite minor league prospects who are even cheaper these days. Alright, so, fresh off our very own episode 70, which is incredible in so many ways, we thought it'd be super fun to talk about some high quality prospects. And while we have been on some of these players for a year or more in some cases and bought in at much higher prices, what better time to take a look at these players again than when they cost less and potentially make even more money. But before we get to the good stuff, and that is prospecting as only CCL does, be sure to hit that subscribe icon and help us inch closer to that 1,000 subscriber level. But more importantly, help us reach a wider audience and save them from some of the perils that can come along with prospecting. Mistakes which I myself have made in years past that cost me tens of thousands of dollars. We're going to start off with none other than Robert Hassa, aka Bobby Barrels. As many of you know, I am sitting on some pretty big Hassa cards, and you can see the link from previous episodes right up there. I say that having unloaded my gold double dime around the time that episode first aired, but I did trade down into a black refractor PSA 10. But that's because we like to take a little money off the table here at CCL when prices are hot, as they were. We then continued to accumulate his cards because prices just kept on softening into the fall and winter. I think our last pickup was a True Blue BGS 9.5, which we showcased late last year and set us back around $600. And we will continue to add to our Bobby pile because the price is right. Hassa really did have a pretty good campaign in 2022, absolutely destroying the ball for High A Fort Wayne and the Padres organization, highlighted by 10 home runs and 55 runs batted in 75 games. He then got traded to the Nationals and scuffled quite a bit, but still managed well and got promoted to Double A Harrisburg. While he continued to struggle after his promotion, he finished up his season with a very strong September, hitting .293 with a home run and 3 doubles, and his strikeout-to-walk ratio was more in line with his historical trends. Hassa so far in his professional career is very predictable in this way. If we look back at 2021, when Hassa went from low A to high A, he had hit a very healthy .323 at low A. Then upon arrival at high A Fort Wayne, he hit just .205. So I'm not at all alarmed that he hit a lousy .140 in his first 12 games in Double A in 2022. For 2023, I imagine Hassa crushes the ball in Double A, and his offseason comments about his own development further my convictions. I am a little surprised he didn't get an invite to spring training, but hey. Now, as mentioned above, his cards are relatively cheap, and we will continue to be opportunistic in accumulating more Hassa, because for a kid who was just 21 years old until August, and he's teetering on AAA at some point this season, and a raw copy of his 2020 Bowman Draft Chrome Auto only sets you back $50 to $75, and some PSA 9s even fall in there too. It's a really good value for the former 8th overall pick in 2020. Then there's Wilder Patino, whose 2020 Bowman Chrome cards are so depressed, you'd think he didn't even play in 2022. Seriously. His base autos in raw condition will set you back just $3 or less. You can't even get a double cheeseburger at McDonald's for that kind of cash. Talk about a sleeper status for the kid. Wilderd is ranked number 16 by the D-backs and is fresh off a really good, mostly healthy 2022, where this dude stole so many bags, 67 to be exact. Any doubts about his health or endurance were mostly put to rest, save for his brief stint on the DL to end the season. You can count on one hand the number of players who stole that many bags in the minors last year. But it's not just his speed and his defense that are impressive. He has power potential, notching 21 doubles and 9 home runs last year at 2 levels, which was certainly impressive. He is seriously underrated in our opinion. He plays the marquee position of center field, not to mention has fun on the diamond every day. I mean, just follow this guy on Instagram. You'll see how much he loves playing ball, and we love that at CCL. I see Double A for this kid in 2023, and he won't be 22 until mid-July. Far from over the hill for a prospect. But one thing to keep in mind on the negative side for Patino is that he does strike out a bit much. But with a .290 average and a decent number of extra base hits, It's not as if he's selling out recklessly and he's not getting on base, so don't worry. Yes, we still love Ed Howard, aptly named Silk because of how smooth this fella is on the diamond with his glove. And for those who didn't know, Howard had a horrific freak injury at high A last year for the Cubs, and it derailed his somewhat promising season as he was hitting better than he ever had as a professional. But we still have time with Silk as he just turned 21, and all signs point to his comeback going well. As of a couple of weeks ago, he was looking good to leave Arizona at the end of spring training and begin his season with a minor league affiliate, so that's excellent. And we imagine that'll be high A for the South Bend Cubs. Howard is such a natural talent, which was a big reason he was taken in the first round by the Cubs, number 16th overall, in 2020. His glove alone will get him to the show, and I maintain that. And while his season was cut short last year by his injury, that kind of made his cards super cheap now. With his 2020 Bowman Draft Chrome Auto in raw condition setting you back just $25 at auction. And that was just a couple of days ago on March 26th. Everyone, including us, loves a comeback story. Come on, Ed, let's go, kid. And how about Drew Romo, who was one of the very first prospects we ever discussed here at CCL in January 2022. And nothing has changed, and we still expect big, big things from this kid. Check this out. At the time of this writing, this kid was absolutely crushing it in spring training, hitting .421 with 4 RBIs and a stolen base in just 19 at-bats. What's not to love? Romo is a switch-hitting catcher that hits well, obviously, and while some say he won't stick at catcher and may wind up elsewhere on the diamond, we disagree and think he can stick and will grow into his role. Go check out the strike he threw to nail Rivas of the Mariners on March 11th in spring ball. It was incredible. He's got such a great attitude, as I alluded to 13 plus months ago. Couple that with his work ethic, we are betting he delivers in the show one day. We've got oranges, reds, blues, golds. It may just be our best collection of any prospect we're holding. And finally, we're on to my man, TJ White. We first mentioned our love of Mr. White late last summer, as some of the froth had finally come off his cards, which does tend to take some time after a product releases. But my feelings towards his skill set have not changed, and we see big, big things for TJ this year. We like him even more these days as his card prices are nice and low for a 19-year-old with such a high ceiling. It is not a stretch at all to see TJ in high Wilmington this season, and if he plays up to his abilities, maybe even Double-A Harrisburg late in the summer. Now, for a bit of a refresher, TJ had one of the worst streaks I can remember, going 3 for 42 in May of last season, and striking out, are you ready for this? A whopping 62% of the time in that month. But in June, he bounced back hard, hitting .337 with 5 home runs, a few of which were absolute moonshots that we talked about here on the show. Then in July, he went a little cold, hitting .190, but that is still far better than his May showing. And then he wrapped up the season hitting .309 in August and .250 in a small sample size of September. His off-season work will probably pay big, big dividends, as White has always been a very strong fastball hitter, but was asked and worked on paying special attention to identifying breaking balls low in the zone. Not to mention that the number 10 overall Nationals prospect has been working hard at becoming more versatile in defensive positions so he can rise faster through the organization. And this was requested of him by the Nats management, so you know they want to move this kid up. His 2020 Bowman Draft Chrome Autos are super cheap, setting you back to a measly $10 to $15, and may very well make TJ one of the best low-risk, high-reward prospects in all of baseball. Honorable mention goes to Jordan Westberg, who had a very, very good spring, hitting .306 with a home run, 7 RBIs at the time of this writing. Westy will get a shot in the show and deliver, as we very much have believed here at CCL for some time. And his first Bowman Chrome Autos make for a very interesting value play. And finally, Gabriel Moreno. I know the Jays were a little catcher heavy, and Gabby had to go, but he is such a talent. We still very much like him, and the fact that his prices are so cheap with base autos and PSA 10 costing as little as $90. That was really recent as well, which makes us like him even more. He hit really well in limited time in the show last year with the Jays. Not to mention this spring, he has been bananas, hitting .370 with 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, and 27 at-bats. I bet the D-backs have their man of the future with this cat sitting behind the plate. A true potential superstar and just 23 years of age. Folks, that's all for today. Is there a prospect featured in the past and you're curious about how or what we think of him now? Hit me up in the chat and I'll happily give you my take. Keep in mind that anything said on this channel is strictly my opinion and should be taken as such. But lastly, I want to say thank you to the fans of this show who were so kind in welcoming us back on the air as we had taken some time off to reformat. Wyatt, Country Clubbin', Matt M., Brutus on Baseball. Go check out his show. He has super cool content. Kyle at TCG Chase, Jason Abernathy, and Caleb. I appreciate all of you. Be well, folks. See you soon.